Hello and welcome to this video. So this one's going to be a bit of a different video. So a bit of a behind the scenes explanation as to why my content has been like all over the place. So if you've been watching my channel for any length of time now, you probably noticed over the past like 10 months or so that everything's been sporadic. Like I used to post once a week, sometimes more, and most of the time it's now been going to once every other week, sometimes once every 3 weeks. But also a lot of projects haven't been finished, so there's a lot of stuff that I usually try to do like once a month and do like a project on it, but that's not been happening. There's been some reasons behind that, so I want to make this video just to explain it to you, anyone who's been following along. I know new people probably not as interested, but some people might be. But also as well, just kind of shed just a bit of light on it and cover some things that might potentially help other people out there. You know, I know that a lot of men watch this channel, according to my stats. I think it's like a 99%. So might give some of you the kick up the arse to go out there and get maybe some of that help that you need, if you need it. You never know. So about 10 months ago, I started getting like really bad stomach pains. Like it was just continual and it just seemed to be getting worse. And at first I thought it was just that I was ill, I had a stomach bug. I've got 2 young kids at the end of the day, so they're constantly bringing stuff back from school, and then I get it, and my wife gets it, and we get really ill. It's a lovely circle. I strongly recommend having children for that purpose. So that was starting, but then it lasted for quite a while. So going towards the back end of last year, I was just getting really tired of just having this constant pain. And it was like all around my stomach there, kind of going down. My whole digestive system seemed all over the place. So I went to the doctors, which is a rarity for blokes, especially in the UK. We don't tend to do that for whatever reason. We think they're going to judge us, and I don't know what it is, don't know what that reservation is. So I went and they had a look and couldn't feel anything, which is always a bonus. And they kind of sent me on my way and just said, look, if you come back after a month, if you're still having symptoms, after a month, still having those symptoms, it's getting really bad indigestion. So like constantly felt like I was breathing fire. So I was getting really frustrating and quite stressful at the time, hard to sleep and all of that jazz. So I went back, they did a couple of tests, blood tests and everything. Nothing came back of that. So they put me on to a PPI, which is like a medication to control stomach acid and everything, which helped in terms of the breathing fire, which was a bonus, but the pain stuck around. So then going into the new year, this year, went back to the doctors and like, you know, still happening, and they started to do a couple of follow-up tests. And it was at this point that I then got some results back that they were then concerned about, which then sent me into the spiral loop of where the channel started to decline. So I just want to stress at this point, I'm fine, or I'm in pain, but I'm fine. I'm not going anywhere. So, you know, I don't want to do the YouTuber thing of like, pain in stomach, you'll never guess what happened next, or camera up the arse and you'll never guess what happened next. Come on to that bit soon. So I'm fine, basically. But at this stage, I was starting to actually worry, because you're being told by the doctor, look, we've just got these results back. They're higher than where they should be. I think it was calprotectin. Probably getting that very wrong. So I had to go back for basically repeat the test. And if it was still high within like the week period, then I'd need to go on for further testing. So I went back, had my repeat test. That came back. That was high, so they sent me through for an urgent referral. So basically at this stage, they were suspecting there was something wrong within my digestive system or my stomach. And it's at this point where my head went wild with everything. When you're being told these results are basically sending you through to an urgent referral because they're bad, they're abnormal, you shouldn't be in this stage, your head goes all over the place. Dr. Google comes into place. So you start looking at all this worst case scenario. And that's made worse, I suppose, because the job that I do, so outside, you know, I'm not a full-time YouTuber, well, it was very good, because if I was a full-time YouTuber and I was doing this sort of content and not being, you know, on it all the time, I'd be in big trouble. So for anyone who doesn't know, and most of you probably won't, I'm charity director for a charity called Soft UK. We support families affected by trisomy 13 and trisomy 18. And unfortunately, due to those conditions, there is a lot of fatalities that just involved in my day-to-day work. There's a lot of very positive stuff, and I absolutely adore my job because I get to support so many families and walk that journey through them. But because of that, I think I see the realities a lot of, like during pregnancy, there's a lot of pregnancy loss there, and that really impacts my day-to-day life. And also being impacted personally back in 2019 by trisomy 18 with my daughter, it brings in the stark reality that even when something can be really rare, and you hear about it, but you never really see it in day-to-day life. When it happens to yourself, and when you see it in your day-to-day life because of my job, it really draws into stark focus that actually sometimes crap happens to people, and it you know, it sends your head wild sometimes. So I think I got caught up in a lot of that, and it was, you know, really driven. So at this stage, I was all over the place. You know, I was there thinking the worst for myself. I've got 2 young kids, got a wife. I'm very happy. I don't ultimately want to leave at the end of the day. So I was in a bad place because of that. And I was just struggling a lot. So then I had my tests and I got referred for an endoscopy, which is where they put the camera right up your arse. Pleasant. And I was about 6 or 7 weeks I had to wait for that, so a lot of uncertainty during that time. Went in, camera up the arse, didn't find anything bad, so that was positive. But then obviously they said they wanted to do more testing with the camera down the throat, so I had to wait a couple of months then for that to come back. I recently had the camera down the throat about 2 weeks ago, and I got to say that was the most unpleasant thing. The camera up the arse, surprisingly, not a big deal. You kind of lie there, you're chatting away to everybody, and they're just asking you about your life and all of that. And there's a guy there with his camera, and you can see it all on screen. If you get referred for that process, it's not actually that bad. The stuff you have to drink the night before, that's bad. But the process itself, that was fine. The one down the throat, hated it. It only lasts for about 3 minutes, so it's actually not too long, but oh my. Oof. Yeah. Did not enjoy that one. So went into that, and obviously I wanted to find out what's going on. And the main thing that I wanted from this entire process was for somebody to... I don't really care about what I have. I can deal with the pain. It's not nice, but I can deal with it. But what I couldn't deal with was the uncertainty and the fact that it could have been something worse. So it was not nice, but it was good. Once I had the procedures and everything, they were able to say, look, we haven't seen anything serious in that, so try not to worry too much. So I'm sure I'll go back for some further testing and chats with my GP and everything else. And the other thing, I've had to change my diet up, and I'm not going to drink that much coffee. And coming from a background of retail in my past, I drank a lot of coffee to get me through. So the reason why the content on this channel has been really sporadic and all over the place is it's been just hard because caffeine is basically gone from my life, and that is, that's difficult. But then also my headspace has just been, it's been really hard to concentrate. You know, I'm busy in my day-to-day life with my job. My job takes a lot of my headspace up, and then I've got kids as well. So a lot of my headspace is gone. And this channel, I've just not had the headspace to do it, or to do it justice. There's been a lot of projects that I wanted to work on. There's been a lot of brands that I've been offered to work with that I haven't really taken them up on that because there were 2 reasons. First off, I didn't have the headspace to know if I'd be able to do a good enough job because I've just been all over the place. But then the morbid side of it was also as well, why would I work with a brand when I might not be here to, you know, for them to reap the benefits from the channel, which is really morbid. So I kind of stayed away from any brand bits. And also the final thing is that my hobby, so painting miniatures and everything else, it's my escape. It's my bit that I go to. I love it. It's something that I really enjoy. It's been great for my mental health. Like without that, it'd be really hard to sometimes get through the stuff I do in my day-to-day job. That can be really heavy. And sometimes when you've had a really heavy time, it's nice to go and paint some Space Marines. And as much as I enjoy also filming it, the filming side of it and the YouTube side of it adds an element of additional stress, and it takes away sometimes from that enjoyment because you've got to set up the cameras, you've got to think about what the purpose is of this video, you've then got to go away and do all the editing, and that's one of the hardest bits of it. So it's been hard, and I've just wanted to escape into my hobby without having to bring all the extra bits to it. So that's why there's just been not as much content. So like I said, why make this video? To explain why the content's been all over the place. I just think at the end of the day, I should just be open and honest. It's been all over the place because my head's been all over the place. But also as well that I know all too well from my own personal experience, and I know there's a lot of blokes out there who are going to be very similar, and there's probably a lot of you ladies out there as well who are similar, that you'll have something that'll be nagging at you and you won't go to the doctor. It took me like 2-3 months before I was like, you know what, this is really bad. I need to go and see a doctor. And then they get the ball rolling on things. You know what? I've had that many procedures now in the past 10 months or so. Camera up the bum, camera down the throat. I also have another procedure. I got the snip in there. I'll just throw that in there for, you know, just joy. And that felt like a really big thing in my head, but actually the procedure was really simple and easy. And you know what? No one cares at the end of the day. When you go for these procedures, they're literally there to do their bit, get you done, and send you on your merry way. So there really should be no apprehension of going out and seeking that help and support if you need it. If you've got something that's potentially wrong with you, go and try and get it done. It's easier said than done with this current economic climate and all of that. Sometimes you can't get to a doctor. Sometimes if you're in different countries, you have to pay a lot to go see the doctor. So I get that. But if it is within your power to do it, you know what, it's better. I'm now at a stage where, yes, it's been hell for my mindset over the past like 10 months, that my head is now clearer. You know, I still don't fully know what's wrong with me, and hopefully things will change. I think it's a hernia, basically, because also at the time, you'd probably be able to tell because I'm so hench right now. I started also working out around about the same time as I started getting the pain, and despite saying this to the doctors every single time, no one put two and two together, even though I was telling them, are you sure this isn't related? They were saying, nope, it's not related. The last doctor I spoke to was like, yeah, that's probably 100% what it is. It's the hiatus or hiatal hernia, they think. It could be that. So, and also I'm definitely not that hench. I was just trying to lose a bit of my dad bod. So where was I going with this? Yeah, go. You know, because now I've got to that stage where actually they've been able to say, you know what? You're not going to die. Well, you're going to die one day, but you're not going to die from whatever it is that's causing this. You are fine. Like I say, it's been a longer process than I would like, but I'd much rather get to the end of it, because if it had been something more serious and I just didn't get it looked into, then I would have been absolutely up poo-poo creek. So it's definitely worthwhile going out there to get that support if you need it. Bit of a ranty video, very different to any of the normal content. My normal content will now hopefully be returning because, like I said, my headspace is freed up. It'll probably take me a little while to kind of pull everything back together. There's loads and loads of projects. I think the simplest thing for me to do now is to delete all of, not my channel, delete all the content I filmed, because I filmed, it's probably about 15 videos worth of content and B-roll that I filmed. And like whenever I go back to them, I'm just like, I don't really know how to pick that up. It's like a painting process. Like I painted up Fulgrim, and I'll probably just do a B-roll video or something at some point. Or maybe just a recap video on all the projects I've done that I don't have all the content for, because it's now hard to go back and do the talking heads element of it, because some of it was from months ago and I just don't really remember what I did. So I figured it's probably best just for me to do a fresh start and then get back on with it. You probably see just the city build I want to do more of, my Ultramarine stuff I want to do more of, and obviously throw some suggestions down in the comments below. Whether or not that's helped anyone, you know, if you are in that place where you're like, actually I need to go and get the support, just do it. If it's within your power, go out and just get yourself checked if you need be. It's better to get that peace of mind, and if they can't give you the peace of mind because there is something wrong, it's better to find out earlier rather than later. Honestly, like I said, healthcare professionals are literally just there to do their job. They're there to do their bit. So when they're sticking a camera up my arse, no one's checking me out whilst that's happening. I don't need to feel weird about it. It's not a weird thing. It's just happening. They're doing a procedure. I mean, when they're sticking the camera down my throat, I think they might have enjoyed it far too much, because I certainly didn't. But again, no one cares that you're having that done, and it's just a weird mindset that I think a lot of us get into. So yeah, there it is. That's the reason. This, you know, things have been all over the place. Fingers crossed, things will be back on track from this point on. It's really hot as well. I also got a new camera and new microphones as well. So I'm going to be having a lot of fun with that. I figured, you know, now that everything's done and I've got in that new headspace, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to throw myself deep into this. I'll probably be working with other brands again and stuff like that, just because there are some really fun ones that have reached out to me to ask if I want to collaborate. And I said I didn't want to because I couldn't do my best for them, and I wasn't sure if I'd be able to continue doing the channel. Whereas now I do know that I'll be able to do that. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, that's just going to end it right there. Ta-ra for now, and stay safe.